You've heard me talk about the amazing shave I get from my Dollar Shave Club razor, especially when I use it with their Dr. Carver's shave butter. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm never giving up my membership. In fact, I'm going to add even more DSC products to my daily routine. Dollar Shave Club makes perfect products for your hair, face, skin, shower, everything you need. They have me looking and feeling amazing. And it's all their own original stuff. They only use the finest premium ingredients and they deliver it to you, just like they do their razors. That means no more annoying trips to the store, cruising up and down the aisle, looking at shelf upon shelf of what the hell is that and what do I do with it? I use Dollar Shave Club for almost everything. Razors, body cleansers, hair gel, and yeah, even butt wipes. DSC has you covered head to toe. And now, it's a great time to give Dollar Shave Club a try. You can get your first month of their best razor, along with travel-size versions of shave butter, body cleanser, and yes, even butt wipes, for just $5. After that, replacement cartridges ship for just a few bucks a month. It's the DSC Starter Set. Get yours for just $5 exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/will. That's dollarshaveclub.com/will.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
I mean, only in the sports world could math be so hard. And I guess we've had ample warning of this when coaches don't know when to go for two or can't do the math on when to take a timeout. But only in the sports world can you ever fool yourself in thinking 8 is somehow more than 7. I mean, I don't know. What is everybody with a microphone an avid golfer? You think low score wins? Everyone loves hearts. Great card game, by the way. Hearts. But let me explain something to you. Lower numbers are not better than high numbers in most sports. 7 is not more than 8. 2 is not more than 5. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. It's time for Straight Talk. Brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. I wake up this morning and I hear a debate about whether or not Tom Brady and Bill Belichick's legacy is somehow tarnished today because a Super Bowl loss is added to their record. That somehow they would have been better off remaining 5-2 than waking up today 5-3. And so I ask you again, how does math work in your home? More is usually better than less. And when counting Super Bowl appearances, when racking up legacy, I would offer you more is always better than less. And I was flipping the dials, and I know we're not supposed to do this. We're not supposed to act like the competition exists. We're not supposed to act like other people in the world aren't talking about sports. But I'm not, look, I made a promise to my audience. I'm going to be real. I'm going to tell the truth. So I was watching another channel, and I saw Chris Carter, who's on another channel, say this. He said, never has someone's reputation grown by losing a Super Bowl. Is that right? Is that true? I mean, yeah, you always would rather win the Super Bowl, but does Jim Kelly have less of a reputation than Warren Moon? Jim Kelly lost 4 Super Bowls. On his record, it says 0-4. But implied in that 0-4 is 4 appearances. Warren Moon is an amazing quarterback. He never made the Super Bowl. Is he better off for that 500 record of 0-0 than Jim Kelly is for 0-4? I would suggest to you Jim Kelly's reputation has been enhanced by the fact that he lost a few Super Bowls. Not as compared to winning. Don't get it twisted. Of course, one on the W side of the ledger would be better, but we can't live in a world where somehow by appearing in the Super Bowl, you are punished. By making your 8th Super Bowl appearance, we must then subtract something from your legacy. This was a debate, Cerruti, if you'll remember, just a few weeks ago when, what was it? Guy in Boston, right? Columnist in Boston said, better off for the Patriots to lose to the Jaguars in the AFC Championship game.
It was Ben Volin.
Ben Volin? What is he? He's a columnist?
Boston Globe columnist. And he said what? He said, the situation the Patriots find themselves in today is worse than had they lost to the Jaguars in the AFC Championship game. Correct. We actually, in fact, have some sound on that.
We do? All right. Well, let's play that then. This is Ben Volin talking about exactly that. Let's hear what he has to say.
Being 5-2 would be better for Brady than being 5-3.
That is so dumb, Ben.
I'm just telling you.
You're so dumb.
I know how.
So you'd rather be 3-0 in Super Bowls than 3-5 in Super Bowls.
Well, now you're talking about a significant gap in appearances.
Well, it's all relative. 8's better than 7.
3-0 is better than you than 3-2.
That's
maybe. I think there's a debate there. I think there's a debate.
No debate.
We got to get him on. Can we get Ben Volin on? I got to have math explained to me because I'm twisted here thinking that 8 is more than 7. 8 is better than 5. I'm messed up and thinking high number. I guess I was confused. Maybe the Super Bowl count is like hearts. Maybe it is like playing hearts or golf or what are some other games where low score wins? Maybe that's how it works with Super Bowl legacies. That was, by the way, on WEEI in Boston on the Kirk and Callahan show. Ben Volin explaining to me that 3 is better than 8. What are some other games, right, where low score wins? So let me just carry this out. Trent Dilfer has a better legacy than John Elway. Trent Dilfer's 1-0. John Elway's 2-3 in Super Bowls. Maybe that spread's too big. I got to come up with just the right ratio, apparently, to satisfy this. All I know is that you're better off being Dan Fouts. You're better off being Phillip Rivers. Phillip Rivers never been in a Super Bowl, so he's never had to suffer his legacy having an L in the Super Bowl. I got one. This is great. Perfect for me. Tony Romo. Never been. Yes. Tony Romo. Never been to a Super Bowl. Now higher on the quarterback hierarchy than Jim Kelly. I've been waiting for that. I finally got the ammunition. This is such a loser's mentality. That's the real takeaway here. If you look at Super Bowl losses and you say that tarnishes someone's legacy, you are advancing a loser's mentality. You would rather sit tight, conservatively hoard what you have, no matter how meager, no matter how small, and say, this will do for me, friends, than to ever risk gaining anything on your legacy because it comes with a detraction. It comes with the risk of a loss. Tom Brady would have been better hanging it up in 2004 with 3-0 record in Super Bowls. The 8 appearances since have apparently been nothing but a stain on his legacy. To go 2-3, what an embarrassment. Tom Brady has more Super Bowl appearances, almost by double, than every other quarterback out there. 8. John Elway has 5. Tom Brady has more Super Bowl wins as it is. 5 Super Bowl wins than any other quarterback that's ever played the game. Don't tell me that because he lost another game, his third, that he or Bill Belichick's legacy is somehow tarnished. Don't tell me, and this is going to hurt me to say it, that Troy Aikman's 3-0 record is better than Tom Brady's 5-3 record. You want some sense of objectivity? You ever question where I'm coming from? You just heard the ultimate, because nothing in me wants to say what I just said. Not an ounce of me wants to say Troy Aikman's 3-0 isn't as sterling as Tom Brady's 5-3. But I can do math. I like winning. And I know in order to win, you got to have the cojones to put it on the line and risk losing. Nobody's reputation has ever been gained by losing a Super Bowl. You know what else nobody's reputation's ever been gained by? Never making a Super Bowl.
So why do we constantly throw LeBron's finals record in his face then? Especially because he's playing against a team that's clearly better the last 3 years.
Here we go. This is
where your argument's wrong.
LeBron.
Because Gregg, because Volin is basically, what he's saying is right. It's not right because of by principle. It's right because that's the way we perceive it. We look at Joe Montana's 4-0 record and go, wow, that's great. And we never look at his 2 NFC title game losses to say that he didn't get there. We only remember the championship game wins and losses. So yes, it's better to get there, but you better win when you get there.
The LeBron apologists among us feel like they're always under attack. You feel like the world is out to get you. You feel like LeBron is constantly being victimized. You feel like, for example, I've had several callers, by the way, 888-729-3776. Feel free to call and explain math to me. You feel like the praise heaped upon Tom Brady is denied to LeBron James. But let me explain to you something. LeBron James apologists, you don't understand that sometimes when you think you're being insulted, you're actually being complimented. I'm going to explain to you why LeBron James, what you hear as an insult, is actually a compliment. That's straight ahead. That's Straight Talk Wireless. Nationwide coverage on America's largest and most dependable 4G LTE network. As long as we're talking about legacies, here's a question. Does Carson Wentz have a ring? I mean, he got a ring, but Does he really? It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Hi, everyone. Will Cain here. Support for the Will Cain podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/will. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030. Joe Flacco has a better Super Bowl legacy than John Elway? I just learned that today. Joe Flacco's 1-0 in the Super Bowl. John Elway is sub 500 in the Super Bowl. Joe Flacco's 1-0. John Elway's 2-3. Win? Joe Flacco, apparently, because that's how we're doing math around here. Losing a Super Bowl somehow tarnishes your legacy. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. The Will Cain Show is presented by Progressive Insurance, and drivers who switch to Progressive can save an average of $620. At least that's how it's being explained to me. It's being explained to me today that somehow going from 5-2 to 5-3 is a problem for Belichick and Brady's legacy. Now, Cerruti, before we went to break, you said to me, yeah, Will, but this is the argument that's always used against LeBron James, that LeBron James is 3-5 in the NBA Finals. And you feel like I am being inconsistent in giving the Pats, giving Brady a pass, and using that against LeBron James?
No, I think we as sports fans are inconsistent on that, because we'll be the first people to throw that in LeBron's face. But when Brady loses 3, it's not that big of a deal because he's been to 8-2.
Okay, this is where sometimes LeBron apologists hear compliments and think they are insults. This is sometimes when LeBron apologists feel like they're being victimized. Here it is. When someone points out that LeBron James is 3-5 in Super Bowls, they're using it in a debate against Michael Jordan. It's a compliment to be compared to, debated against, the greatest of all time in that game. We're having a debate about what's better at that point, 6-0 or 3-5. Clearly, 6-0 is better than 3-5. I understand 8 is more appearances than 6. But when it's that close, when it's like that, having never lost, the balance tips to Michael Jordan. And it's such a compliment to even be having that debate. But don't tell me that Tom Brady going from 5-2 to 5-3, what is that? Okay, fine. You want to play the tarnish game? That makes him number 1 greatest quarterback of all time to, yeah, but 5-3? And still greatest quarterback of all time? There's nobody close. Like, what, Montana's 4-0? Are you going to tell me 4-0 is better than 5-3? Is that how that works?
I'm looking at this from LeBron's angle, and if he say LeBron ends up making 10 finals in his career, right, and say he wins 4, that's way more times that he's been to the finals than Michael Jordan, but he'll never be put on Jordan's level because he lost that many finals. And
he will never have caught Michael Jordan's number of wins.
But we also don't remember Jordan losing in the playoffs at all. We only remember the wins in the finals. Whereas LeBron has made it to the finals more times.
Well, then
I'm just arguing for the general public of how we argue this debate. And it's flawed, but that's the way we do it.
I think once you have established that you have more victories, be it NBA Finals or Super Bowls, the losses become nothing on the side of the ledger. Tom Brady has more Super Bowl championships than any other quarterback of all time.
Let me ask you this.
Hold on. Montana has 4, right? Brady has 5. I don't care about the other side of the ledger at that point. I don't care if it's 0 or 3. The score is 5-4. Right?
Yes.
Okay. So the score with LeBron and Michael Jordan is 6-3. Now, LeBron James compared to somebody else that has 3 NBA Finals, he gets tons of credit for appearing in 5 more. He gets tons of credit for those losses. Eddie in Florida. What's up, Eddie?
Hey, Will, how are you?
I'm good. Well, hold on. Eddie, will you hold on 1 second? Eddie, will you hold on 1 second? Okay, just 1 second.
No problem.
Hold on. Commercial break, Nuno.
What's up?
What happened during the commercial?
Let's just say Eddie was a little fired up. He's a little tired. He's tired of something.
Was cursing at you?
He was just a little fired up. Yes, definitely.
Okay, let's go back to Eddie now and see. Eddie, why you get so mad at Nuno?
How you doing? No, I'm not. No, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
You know, I'm watching the TV right now, and obviously it must be recorded because I'm talking to you, you know. And it says, does Super Bowl 52 lose impact Brady Belichick legacies? So all I'm concerned about is Why are you spending airtime talking about Brady and Belichick again when Philadelphia are the champions? Why aren't you spending more time about the Eagles, being the champions?
I spent all of yesterday talking about the Eagles. All of yesterday talking about Foles, what's going to happen.
Let me tell you something. Nobody cares about Brady. He's a little, let me tell you, he's a fantastic quarterback. You're right. I was just listening to you. He is the best. There's no doubt. He has the most rings. He's the champion. Yeah. Belichick's an amazing coach. I hate him because he left the Giants.
And nobody cares about these guys? Nobody cares about the greatest of all time?
Yeah, but not now. Not now. Give it to Philadelphia.
Well, how long should I talk about Philadelphia? And what? And nothing else? Just Philadelphia.
They're the Super Bowl champions. They deserve every minute of your time on the TV, talking about how fantastic they are. Right now, they beat the out of Brady and Belichick.
Whoa, Eddie. You can't do that. Can't do that on the air. Did you catch him, Bubba? You got him.
Nuno and I both went running for it.
Is he still there? Eddie, You can't cuss. You can't cuss.
Okay, I'm sorry about that. It was my bad. But let me tell you, they deserve it. They're the winners. Who cares if Brady's crying at home? He's got a gorgeous wife. He's got about $500 million. Let him lose. Maybe this will even make him better
next Eddie,
year.
Fine. All right, you're the producer. You go ahead. You tell me what I'm going to talk about for the next 5 minutes. You be the producer. What do I talk about? You got make it snappy and make it quick.
Talk about the Eagles, man. Talk about how great they are. Bring up a couple of guys. Talk about them.
I talked about it yesterday. I said they were the new Seattle Seahawks.
That's all. And you have a great show. And you're a good-looking dude. How old are you, man?
I'm 42.
Yeah, you're still young, man. I'm 58. All right, you're a good-looking guy.
All right, man. Thanks, man.
No doubt, man. You have a great show. All right,
thanks,
and I always listen to you. I didn't mean to curse before.
All right, that's all right. You're the man. But, thank you. All right, call in anytime. But I'm not going to talk about how great the Eagles are. Not going to do it. Okay, I'll tell you. I'll make a deal with Eddie. I'm going to talk about the Eagles. Here, see if you like this, Eddie. I'm going to ask you a question, okay? 888-729-3776. Let me ask you this. Does Carson Wentz really have a Super Bowl ring? I mean, he got a ring, but does he really have a Super Bowl ring? I mean, like he's going to tell people I'm a Super Bowl winning quarterback? He's not. Carson Wentz, look, I love Carson Wentz. This is going to come off like you hate Carson Wentz. No. This guy gave his offensive linemen shotguns. This is my kind of guy. He's from North Dakota. I'd go pheasant hunting with Carson Wentz. I love Carson Wentz. But he doesn't really have a ring, right? It's Nick Foles' ring. I'm just saying, wouldn't it be embarrassing if Carson Wentz went around saying Super Bowl champion? A little bit? Right? Am I alone on this?
Is he going to put that on his Twitter bio?
Super Bowl champion?
He can't, right?
I don't think so. Stugotz said Carson Wentz does have a ring, but Nick Foles doesn't. Oh, my gosh. Let's sort this out. Who gets to claim they have a Super Bowl ring? Does Carson Wentz really get to do that? Plus, Damien Woody is going to jump in with us and give us his feedback. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
9 seconds left. Eagles by 8. Brady lines them up. He's back again. He steps up. He's hit. He stumbles. He is throwing it deep for the end zone, and it is batted around and incomplete. And the game is over. The game is over. The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
How about those Philadelphia Eagles? They're great. How's that, Eddie? That do it for you? Those Eagles, they're great. Call from Sports Radio 94 WIP there. This is what I mean when I say, Carson Wentz, he's got a ring, but does he really have a ring? I think the answer has to be no. If Carson Wentz and the Philadelphia Eagles do not go on to win another Super Bowl together, Carson Wentz never quarterbacks the Philadelphia Eagles to a Super Bowl win. Does he ever really describe himself as Super Bowl champion? And we talked about this earlier in the pre-show. I said, I don't think I want to call Drew Bledsoe, but I want to know how Drew Bledsoe feels. Drew Bledsoe won the AFC Championship game for the New England Patriots before Tom Brady came back to win their first Super Bowl. Does Drew Bledsoe feel like he's got a Super Bowl ring? I mean, I know he physically has a ring. Does he feel like a Super Bowl champion? It was his team, but then it wasn't his team. Is Phil Simms, does he describe himself as two-time Super Bowl champion Phil Simms? Or does he have one? And Jeff Hostetler has one. I mean, I understand who gets rings. I understand the equipment manager has a ring. But you know what I'm talking about. Do you have a ring? Damien Woody on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get the feeling of being rewarded with gold status at Shell with Fuel Rewards program. Download the Fuel Rewards app, join, and start saving 5 cents a gallon today. What's up, Damien?
So let me get this straight. So because you don't play in a Super Bowl, are you saying that you didn't win? Like, what are you trying to say here? I'm trying to figure this out.
Do you think
through that whole soliloquy? I want to understand you better.
Do you think Carson Wentz, when he lays his head down at night, goes, "I'm a Super Bowl champion"?
Absolutely. I mean, the guy got hurt in December. He played the majority of the regular season. Did he play in the postseason? No. But would the Eagles would have gotten to the point that they've gotten to without Carson Wentz? Come on now. No, they wouldn't have.
So if he never wins, Damien, if he never wins a Super Bowl, he has no more titles, no more Super Bowls. You think that like he's
a Super Bowl champion.
So if I'm in a debate with you 3 years down the road and we're talking about who's better, Dak Prescott or Carson Wentz, and Dak Prescott has 2 championships and he started in the Super Bowl for 1, you're going to come back at me with, well, no, let me change it. Dak has 1 and Carson has 1. Are you going to come back to me and go, they're tied?
Well, first of all, we're never going to have that discussion because Carson Wentz is better than Dak right now.
No,
so
that's a cop-out. You just pulled the ripcord. You just pulled the ripcord because you knew the answer.
We know Carson Wentz is a better quarterback than Dak Prescott.
That's beside the point, Damien. If we're in a debate down the road, and I'm debating you on Dak and Carson, right? 2 years down the road, and they both have Super Bowls, but Dak started and won his Super Bowl game, are you really going to come back to me and go, yeah, well, they're tied in Super Bowl championships?
Yeah, I will.
You'll be wrong, and I will have won.
Why would I be wrong?
Because he didn't play not only in the Super Bowl, he didn't play in the playoffs. Nick Foles won that for them. Nick Foles is a Super Bowl champion quarterback.
Let me ask you this. Would you agree if Carson Wentz had finished the regular season, he would have been the NFL MVP? Would you agree with that? Would you agree?
Well, I think it would have been close between he and Brady. I
think he would have won. He would have won. I mean, basically, him and Brady had almost identical stats, and he didn't play, 3 games less than Brady did. So, I mean, I think if he had continued on his trajectory, he would have won the NFL MVP.
What does that have to do with anything? He doesn't have an MVP, and that actually supports my debate. He doesn't have an MVP because he didn't finish the season.
So why are you throwing a hypothetical then? Oh, if Dak, in 3 years, if Dak had won two Super Bowls, Dak doesn't have any Super Bowl.
No. But your MVP point supports me. Is Carson Wentz the MVP of the NFL this year?
Brady is.
Right. Why?
Why? Because Brady, he finished the regular season.
Okay. So I think the same logic applies.
No, it doesn't apply. The Eagles wouldn't have gotten there. They wouldn't have gotten there without Carson Wentz.
Hey, I'm not taking that away from him. I get it. Have you ever heard the whole story?
Let's be real.
I am being real. That's what I do. I'm always real. Listen, I'm not trying. I don't want to hurt Carson's feelings. I like Carson. I do. But I know this. And by the way, I'm going to give you this. You ever heard the story like, who invented the light bulb? Well, the answer most people say is Thomas Edison. But 100 people invented the light bulb because Edison invented he improved upon somebody else's design who improved upon somebody else's design. The famous saying, the only reason I can see further than everyone else is because I'm standing on the shoulder of giants. I understand who gets you to where you are. I understand if he doesn't lead that team to a first seed in the NFL playoffs, Nick Foles maybe never gets a chance to win 2 home games. I get his contribution. But what I'm saying is when it's all said and done, and Carson Wentz lays his head down at night, and he's compared against other Super Bowl champions, he knows good and well, you know good and well, and I know good and well, it's not the same. He doesn't get to be the same Super Bowl champion that honestly Joe Flacco is, or in my hypothetical, Dak Prescott would be when we cross that bridge, when we get to that debate.
Well, I think a lot of competitors will probably think that way, but at the end of the day, he's a champion. He's a champion. I mean, the NFL is a battle of attrition. He was a big part of why the Philadelphia Eagles got to where they are right now. Nothing to hang his head over.
No doubt.
Nothing to hang his head over at all.
No doubt. He's just not the same thing as Joe Flacco. It's true. He contributed, just not as much as Joe Flacco. Hey, have you ever had somebody be benched right before the game and he had no idea and it was sprung on him with, I don't know, minutes to spare? Have you ever had that happen?
Not to my recollection. I've never heard of anything like this. I think that the fact that it was a Super Bowl, it just magnifies this 1,000 times more. The only situation I can equate this to, back in 2001 when I was playing with the New England Patriots, we cut Lawyer Malloy the week of our first game against the Buffalo Bills. Lawyer Malloy at the time was just this. I mean, he was a team captain, very much beloved in the locker room and in the area. Long story short, we got obliterated 31-0 by the Buffalo Bills. It was almost a mutiny in the locker room.
Mm-hmm.
That's the only thing I can equate this to.
And do you feel like the Patriots are on edge of mutiny in the same way?
No, I don't know if only the guys in the locker room can vouch for that. But I can tell you one thing: as a former player, you want all your guys out there to give you the best chance to win. There's no way you can tell me that Malcolm Butler isn't one of the best defensive players on that roster, and they got shredded in the Super Bowl.
I totally agree, Damien, and this is going to have to be my last question. I have a minute here, but guess you've been in that locker room, man. You've played for Bill Belichick. I can't imagine this isn't about discipline. I know you're speculating if you do this, but what would lead Bill Belichick to doing this? Like, what if you're saying these are the things he would sit someone for, someone who's superior to his teammates? We know he's good enough to be on the field. Why? Why would this happen?
Listen, this is my only guess. This was a pure football decision that backfired in a big way. There's no discipline.
How is that football?
Keep saying
man?
There's no disciplinary situation. Pure football decision that backfired in the ugliest of ways.
I just don't see how a guy that starts 98% of the snaps all of a sudden isn't good enough to play, and it's a football decision. I just don't get it at all.
Yeah.
All right.
I agree.
That is former Pro Bowl offensive lineman, played 12 seasons in the NFL, and two-time Super Bowl champion with the Patriots, who can lay his head down at night and know he's got 2 rings and earned them. Damien Woody on the Shell Pencil Performance. Thanks, man.
No problem, man.
All right, let's hear what Stugotz has to say on this ring argument for Wentz. Apparently, he had something to say this morning on Le Batard Show, and a little more on this craziness regarding Malcolm Butler. How in the world is he not playing in the Super Bowl? It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. We've had Drew Bledsoe on the show a few times, and big fan of Drew Bledsoe. But this felt like poking a soft spot. This felt like a step too far. Hey, let's ask Drew. Does he wear his Super Bowl ring? Does he tell people, yeah, I won the Super Bowl? Does he consider himself a Super Bowl champion quarterback? Ian Heflin tweets into the show, Carson Wentz and Nick Foles both deserve a ring, but it needs to be more of a Chinese finger trap kind of thing, and both have to wear it together in order for it to count. That's a good tweet, Ian. Thanks for tweeting on the 1-800-Flowers.com Twitter feed. Let's give that guy a card. Let's give Ian a gift card to 1-800-Flowers. DM him, Cerruti. Give him a gift card up to 1-800-Flowers.com. Tweet the show, by the way, at Will Cain Show. Well, by the way, Stugotz on the Le Batard Show says, no. I've got it backwards. Wentz gets a ring, but he's not so sure about Foles.
Does Carson Wentz have a championship in your personal record book?
Yeah, he does.
He does?
Yes, he does. He does.
He does?
Yeah, Carson Wentz absolutely does. Yes.
If LeBron...
I'm not certain about Nick Foles yet, but Carson Wentz does.
What?
I don't know.
Well, Nick Foles absolutely has.
He joined a pretty good team. Yeah, played 3. Listen, he only played like 3 or 4 games. He joined a really, really good team that was doing just fine without him. I don't know. Foles definitely I mean, I'm sorry. Wentz, definitely Foles. I'm still debating.
That's one of the weird,
I got to consult some of my people.
It's one of the weirdest takes Stugotz has ever had.
It's really not, if you think about it. Greg, you understand what I'm saying?
I do indeed.
Would the Eagles have landed in the same place with or without Nick Foles? Meaning if Carson Wentz never got hurt, did they win it all?
I understand your larger point. The inconsistency I'm objecting to is the idea that you're giving one to Wentz and not to Foles.
Well, it's my personal record book.
And there's where I'm always trapped.
Not give one to the Super Bowl MVP. Look, I get it. Everybody, they're all Super Bowl champions. They all have rings. Okay, I get it. Backup players, backup quarterbacks. Even the guy they traded away, I forget his name, who the trade was nullified because he had a heart condition. He gets a ring, and I understand. Everybody contributes to a Super Bowl championship, even the equipment guy. And I get it. I said it to Damien Woody. I get the idea. The only reason I can see so far is because I'm standing on the shoulder of giants. 100 people invented the light bulb, not Thomas Edison. The Eagles wouldn't have gotten to where they were without Carson Wentz. I understand all that. But I'm just saying, maybe he doesn't win a debate against other guys who've won Super Bowls, on the field. Hey, speaking of Nick Foles, when he won the Super Bowl, afterward, he said one of the most inspiring things I've heard a professional athlete talk about in quite some time. Anybody that's listened to the Will Cain Show over the first month of its launch here knows one of my favorite things about sports, and for that matter, it's one of my favorite things in life, is failure. Failure is life's greatest teacher. It's the best lesson, or it creates the best lessons in life. And I honestly believe we're living in a day and age when failure is actively avoided. It is protected against. It is run from. Nick Foles realizes failure is why he is today a Super Bowl MVP. Listen.
The big thing is don't be afraid to fail. I think in our society today, Instagram, Twitter, it's a highlight reel. It's all the good things. And then when you look at it, you think like, wow, when you have a rough day, your life's not as good as that. Like, you're failing. And I don't think, failure is part of life. That's a part of building character and growing. Like without failure, who would you be? I wouldn't be up here if I hadn't fallen thousands of times, made mistakes. We all are human. We all have weaknesses. And I think throughout this, just being able to share that and be transparent. I know when I listen to people speak and they share their weaknesses, I'm listening because I can resonate. So I'm not perfect. I'm not Superman. Might be in the NFL and we might have just won the Super Bowl, but hey, we still have daily struggles. I still have daily struggles. But that's where my faith comes in. That's where my family comes in. And, I think when you look at a struggle in your life, just know that, that's just an opportunity for your character to grow. And that's really just been the message. It's simple. Like if something's going on in your life and you're struggling, embrace it because you're growing.
That's such a great message. That's hard to not become a massive Nick Foles fan after hearing that. I do believe we're living in a day and age when if your child falls down at the playground, you swoop him up as quickly as you can. If your child wants to climb to the top of the rung of the jungle gym, you stop him at the third so you make sure he doesn't get hurt. If he gets an F in school, you go talk to the teacher and make sure that it really wasn't a C. Everything and every step of the way is done to protect them from the unpleasantness of failure, from the fragile ego of wondering, why wasn't I good enough? But in that moment of not being good enough, is how you become good enough. The lessons of failure are the ones that lead to success. Because failure is inevitable. Failure is not if, failure is when. And the child, the person who has been through their life protected from, lied to, told every step of the way, you're great, never allowed to fall on their face. When they do, they won't know the first thing about getting up. They'll just assume that's their new position in life. Horizontal. I've started 2 businesses in my life. One a success and one a failure. I've lost money. I've lost time. I have had nothing to cushion the long look in the mirror of what happened and the answer being, you messed up. And I'm here to tell you I learned more, way more from my failure than I did from my success. The business that succeeded provided me money. The businesses that failed led me to where I am today. They led me to saying, just do what you're passionate about. Just wake up and deal with it. Pursue it. Up, down. Stand, fall. Succeed, fail. That persistence gets you where you want to go. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio, the ESPN app.
Thank you for listening to the Will Cain Podcast. You can listen to The Will Cain Show live weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. The Will Cain Podcast.
You've heard me talk about the amazing shave I get from my Dollar Shave Club razor, especially when I use it with their Dr. Carver's shave butter. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm never giving up my membership. In fact, I'm going to add even more DSC products to my daily routine. Dollar Shave Club makes perfect products for your hair, face, skin, shower, everything you need. They have me looking and feeling amazing. And it's all their own original stuff. They only use the finest premium ingredients and they deliver it to you, just like they do their razors. That means no more annoying trips to the store, cruising up and down the aisle, looking at shelf upon shelf of what the hell is that and what do I do with it? I use Dollar Shave Club for almost everything. Razors, body cleansers, hair gel, and yeah, even butt wipes. DSC has you covered head to toe. And now, it's a great time to give Dollar Shave Club a try. You can get your first month of their best razor, along with travel-size versions of shave butter, body cleanser, and yes, even butt wipes, for just $5. After that, replacement cartridges ship for just a few bucks a month. It's the DSC starter set. Get yours for just $5 exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/will. That's dollarshaveclub.com/will.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
2019 Super Bowl odds are out, and your favorites to win the Super Bowl next year, the New England Patriots, 5-1 odds. Followed by both the Philadelphia Eagles and the Pittsburgh Steelers at 7-1 odds, and the Minnesota Vikings and Green Bay Packers at 12-1 odds. I'm here to tell you, I'm not putting money on the Patriots. There's entirely too many questions around that dynasty. There's entirely too many questions around that franchise to put money on those guys. That team being the Super Bowl favorites. As you just heard Christine Lisi in her SportsCenter Update report, Josh McDaniels is off to become the head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. Matt Patricia is off to become head coach of the Detroit Lions. Rob Gronkowski is talking about retirement. Malcolm Butler is most certainly out of Foxborough, and no one knows what Bill Belichick's future plans are. I'm here to tell you this is how dynasties die. Dynasties die not by withering, but by a raid. It's by Vikings and Pirates and Raiders coming into your territory, sailing over from Scandinavia into the north of England, going ashore in Scotland, and taking all of your possessions and going home. That's how they get rich and you get poor. They take your offensive coordinator, they take your defensive coordinator, they take your free agents. The Dallas Cowboys of the 90s died because Dave Wannstedt left to become head coach at other locations, because Norv Turner decided to pursue his head coaching opportunities, because Butch Davis, then following in Dave Wannstedt's path, went on to become his own head coach as well, and free agent players left in every which way. Now you can tell me that the Patriots have survived this before, that Charlie Weiss and Romeo Crennel left that team as well, that Bill Belichick has lost his coordinators before, and I will respond to you this: that's true, and they also went 10 years without winning a Super Bowl. Right now, there's entirely too many questions to consider the New England Patriots the favorite to win the Super Bowl. I would have to say it's the Philadelphia Eagles, once again, to repeat, as Super Bowl champions. By the way, on the debate of whether or not Carson Wentz has a Super Bowl ring, I mean, I know he has a Super Bowl ring, but does Carson Wentz have a Super Bowl ring? A lot of interesting feedback on Twitter. One of them is this. I'll ask you this, commercial break, Nuno. How many Super Bowls, how many Super Bowl championships does Steve Young have?
I would say the ones that he was a backup don't count.
He has 1 or 3?
I would say 1.
He has 1. You can look this up for me, commercial break, Nuno. Lynn Dawson is a Super Bowl champion, right? For the Kansas City Chiefs. Did you know that Lynn Dawson didn't start? I don't know if it was the majority, but he didn't start a handful. Let's find out exactly how many for the Kansas City Chiefs. Double check this on me. Essentially, you have a similar scenario. Lynn Dawson and, help me with his name, are the Nick Foles and Carson Wentz of the Kansas City Chiefs in the 1960s. I'm telling you the way this plays out. We may not like it. We may not want it to be that way. I'm just telling you that's the way it plays out. The Will Cain Show is reminding you that you can listen to all 3 hours of the show on your phone or on the ESPN app. I just mentioned that Josh McDaniels is off to be head coach of the Indianapolis Colts. This is going to be one of the problems for the New England Patriots this year. But according to Indy Star columnist Gregg Doyel on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line, this is also a problem for the Indianapolis Colts. Greg, I want to read directly. You said, screw it. Let's be real here. Let's be fair. I intend to be both. I hate this hire for the Colts. Tell me about it.
Fair, wasn't it? I hate it. I will.
I'll judge if it's fair after I hear your argument.
I'm just baffled by Josh McDaniels being the hottest coaching candidate on the block this offseason. I guess what it shows is how cold the block is. The guy didn't survive 2 years in Denver. He's been a head coach before. Didn't make it out of year 2. Like, if you're a boxer, you don't even get out of round 2. You're probably not very good. But he and we don't even know why he got fired. Did you not get fired because you lost a lot? Because they did. Did you not get fired because your franchise cheated the exact same way the Patriots cheated with videotaping? Because the Broncos did. Or did you get fired because no one seemed to like you, which is what seems to be the case? There's all kinds of reasons not to like this hire. Now, in 10 years, he could improve. I get it. He could change. And if he has, great. But on the surface, which is all there really is right now to judge this by, I don't like this at all and don't really understand why no one seems to agree with me.
Okay, let me push back in two ways. First of all, do we agree that Josh McDaniels is a quality offensive coordinator, a mind who's capable of drawing up creative and productive offenses, and he's in demand because of what happens on the field? Are we going to give him that credit, or are you going to take it away because of Brady? How do we approach that?
What I'm going to say is we don't know, because guess who also was apparently a really good offensive mind, had the same job as McDaniels? Charlie Weiss. I mean, how coveted is that guy? Josh McDaniels was offensive coordinator for 1 year with the Rams when Sam Bradford was there. Sam Bradford, much maligned, number 1 overall pick, played 7 or 8 years in the league so far. His worst year was the 1 year spent with Josh McDaniels. You got Tom Brady on one side of you, Bill Belichick on the other, and you're the genius? I don't know.
The other thing you bring up, and it sounds like this is actually your main point, Greg, is the abrasive personality. And you're right about that.
They're all my main point, honestly. But that is a point, yes. But go ahead.
Well, I think it was the crux of your column, and I'm not brushing it aside. I think personality has a lot to do with outcomes in life. How you get along with other people is constantly undervalued. Bill Belichick couldn't do it in Cleveland, and he won a Super Bowl pretty quickly with Tom Brady in New England, so his personality became a thing people just dealt with because it came with winning. So I don't brush it aside to say that, but by the way, you're right. I mean, I've heard Mark Schlereth talk about this. I've heard a lot of people talk about it. They called him Hurricane Josh. He came in the building in Denver and alienated everybody on the team. But you mentioned this. Can't he grow? The stories coming out of that was the minute he got fired, he made an Excel spreadsheet and said, "These are my lessons. This is how I have to learn. This is how I have to get better." Why are you so dismissive of the idea he can learn from his failure?
Well, he can grow. He can. I'm not saying he can't. What I'm saying is, and what bothers me, is that's a whole lot to hope for. Like, there's a lot of candidates out there, and I realize that every candidate you're hoping for something. If they've never coached before, Matt Patricia, Mike Vrabel, if they've never coached before, you're hoping they can handle it. If they have coached before and were a jerk, Hurricane Josh, you're hoping he's not a jerk anymore. So there's all these hopes for. But there's also unlike with Patricia and Vrabel, who haven't proven they can't do it yet. Josh has proven he can't do it yet. Retreads sometimes work; they do, but usually retreads fail for a reason. The reason is they lost in the first place because they weren't very good.
So the reasons he lost in the first place, your argument would be, still exist today. The reasons he was a failure still exist with him today.
No, no. What I'm saying is we don't know. There's too much unknown about this guy. You've got to hope that all the reasons he failed, he's rectified them. He hasn't proven any of that. He hasn't had a chance.
Who would you rather have?
We don't know if he can get along with people as a head coach anymore. We don't know if his franchise is going to cheat their rear end off like the Patriots did when he was there and like the Broncos did when he was there. And we don't know if they're going to win or lose. So the reasons he got fired in Denver, we're all going to find out if he's fixed those things. And I just don't know why the Colts kind of close their eyes and hope for the best. And talking to you is kind of like talking to everybody else. And I don't mean this in a mean way, but what I feel like is, like, this is one of those the earth is round kind of arguments. I'm the one saying it's round, and all you people are trying to tell me it's flat. Like, I don't really understand. Like, everybody took their brain out of their head, put it on a shelf, and decided to argue with me. I don't really understand
this. Greg, you have managed to be more abrasive than me in 10 minutes, and that's saying something. I'm the most egotistical, abrasive guy. You can't have that. That's who I am. Listen.
No. is. You think you're great. I think I'm great.
Listen, here's the thing. Okay, I appreciate your Earth is round thing. Here's the argument against you, man. It's just how willing are you to accept that people can change, that they can learn from failure. I just got done playing audio by Nick Foles after the Super Bowl win, talking about the role failure has played in your life. So I think the debate comes down to this. Is Josh McDaniels going to be a product of overcoming failure? Does he succeed and grow from when he's fallen down? Or what I think you're saying, honestly, I think your argument comes down to Tigers don't change their stripes. He is who he was in Denver. That's where all the evidence points. So which one is it? Tigers don't change their stripes, or people grow from failure?
Well, both of them can happen, not the same person. It all comes down to who is Josh McDaniels. Now, we all know Nick Foles. I mean, he's just a sweetheart of a guy. Now, Josh McDaniels was not. To overcome the mistakes he's overcome, he's got to really humble himself and be humble. That's not who he's been. He's been a type A guy. Do type A guys shift away from that? We will see. Again, nowhere have I ever said he can't change. All I've said is you had the entire landscape to hire a coach from, and you hired a coach based on the biggest premise you based it on is that we sure hope he's going to be changed. Hope's not good enough. Go hire somebody else.
I get it. You're saying the evidence weighs in the other way. Real quick, who would you rather?
Thank you, Will. You are very smart. I appreciate that. Well, and I mean that. I mean, I've said a lot of garbled Mississippi nonsense, and you did boil me down in about 3 words, and I appreciate that.
Well, who would you have rather had? Quickly, who would you have rather had?
Anybody else? Quickly, everybody else. Quickly, you give me the field, I'd take, that guy. I swear to you, when I heard Josh McDaniels was a candidate, I thought, Chris Ballard, you wily son of a gun, you're going to interview the guy and pick his brain for Patriots secrets, but obviously you're not going to hire Josh McDaniels. I mean, this also shows how dumb I am, because that's really what I thought. So if you're asking me who would I like better than Josh McDaniels, give me a name, the answer is yes.
All right, well, have fun covering him, man. By the way, arrogant and smug and abrasive, that's always welcome on my show, so I'd love to have you back, Gregg.
All right, did you just call me arrogant and smug? You didn't say the word right. All I was right. I was very humble about it, but I was very humbly right. But
you don't understand. Those are compliments. That's like talking to the mirror for me.
Okay, thank you.
All right, man. Thanks for coming on the show. That's Gregg Doyel from the Indy Star. Go check his column out, by the way. He hates the Josh McDaniels hire for the Colts. All right, straight ahead, we got to address the Malcolm Butler situation because Bill Belichick has explaining to do. That's the bottom line. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Hi, everyone. Will Cain here. Support for the Will Cain podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. Rocket Mortgage is simple, allowing you to fully understand all the details and be confident you're getting the right mortgage for you. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/will. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLS consumeraccess.org number 3030.
Bill Belichick makes decisions based exclusively on what he believes gives the Patriots the best chance to win.
Malcolm Butler has basically played almost every snap.
You're accusing Belichick of sabotage.
He thought his genius could overcome the lack of Malcolm Butler on the field.
Why now? Why in the biggest game of the year you don't even play one snap defensively? To me, that's a tough pill to swallow.
It doesn't make any sense. And Bill Belichick has some explaining to do. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. How is it that a guy who plays 98% of the snaps in the regular season can't find one in the Super Bowl? How is it Malcolm Butler is the Patriots' top cornerback throughout the last couple seasons, the last 3 years, and can't play one defensive snap in the Super Bowl? Bill Belichick has some explaining to do. And Carlton in Tampa thinks I do as well. What's up, Carlton?
If Will Cain learns more from his failures than anything else, well, he's on a learning extravaganza the last 2 days because he fails to understand literally everything about the Belichick-Butler dynamic going on. You said on First Take today you thought it was Bill Belichick sticking to his obstinate rule. Butler must have violated some rule, and Bill Belichick stuck to it, regardless of the fact that he should have changed that out. This is the Bill Belichick that, when Chandler Jones was found half naked in the parking lot of the Foxborough police station in freezing weather, back in January of 2016, Bill Belichick, on, by the way, synthetic drugs, Bill Belichick put him in the game against Kansas City 6 days later. So this hard and fast guy who you got to stick to his rules or he's not playing you in the playoffs, he did that for Chandler Jones. And yet Malcolm Butler, who had played 100% of the snaps against the defensive snaps against both the Titans and the Jaguars, doesn't play a single defensive snap.
Okay, hold on, Carlton. It's a good point. And it's one that I don't think that I'm going to have to learn from because it's one I was making as well on First Take. What I said is this. I don't believe that coaches adhere to this process of you break my rules, you don't play. And if I give a little bit on this line, then the line moves and I've lost my entire team. I believe the old Jimmy Johnson rule, different rules for different people. Troy Aikman doesn't have the same rules as the last guy on the roster, and Tom Brady doesn't have the same rules as Malcolm Butler. If Tom Brady breaks discipline, he plays, and we all know it. What I think Bill Belichick did is treat Malcolm Butler like he's one of the lowest guys on the roster. He treated Malcolm Butler like the hard and fast rules apply to him when he should have said, no, I need the best players on the field. So he was still trying to be slavishly devoted to his process, even though it's not, I'm not saying it applies the same to everybody on the roster. But he was telling himself, Carlton, this is the rules, this is how we got here, this is what I have to do.
First off, Malcolm Butler has as high a standing on that defense as Chandler Jones did back in 2015.
Well, why are you saying he did it? Are you going to do the sabotage thing again? Are you telling me he did it to sabotage?
No, he did it. This is a vindictive vendetta against Malcolm Butler for Malcolm Butler not kowtowing to Bill's demands back in the springtime that he sign a sub-market long-term contract with the Patriots. That's why Bill did this.
But why did he start him all season? Why did he start him all season then and wait till the Super Bowl to bench him? Why play him 98% of the snaps and this is the time when he gets his vengeance in the Super Bowl?
Bill thought he was going to get away with it. I am not saying that Bill did it, and as I said,
but you did yesterday.
You did yesterday. Away with it.
Well, you did yesterday. You told me it was sabotage yesterday.
No, I said it was a vendetta against Malcolm Butler, but he thought he was going to get it. He thought he was going to win the Super Bowl without Malcolm Butler in there. But Damien Woody is talking about he thinks it was for football reasons. So Philadelphia scores on 8 of 10 drives, goes up and down the field, and Damien Woody thinks that Bill Belichick in a football decision wouldn't put the guy in who has the most passes defended this year of anybody in the Patriots secondary, by far. The most forced fumbles in the Patriots secondary this year. The second most interceptions in the Patriots secondary this year. The most tackles by a cornerback in the Patriots secondary this year. And Woody thinks that for football reasons, while you're getting torched up and down the field, Bill Belichick isn't putting him in to see if he can turn that around. Am I right?
All right. Okay. I have to go, Carlton, up against the clock. Can you just hear me on this?
Go ahead.
I think you made a really good argument. I really do. I made Carlton laugh, but I told the truth. Thanks for the call, Carlton. Here's the thing. Carlton's right about this. I mean, if it's a football decision, you have to start him in the second half. You can't, as you're getting torched, you don't leave him on the bench. And if you're not going to play him for disciplinary reasons, why don't you deactivate him? I don't understand how he practices all week. He's active for the game, and he never makes his way in. Every football evidence was saying play him. Okay, we got to sort through this. I cannot just say Carlton's right. Valentine's bouquets come in all shapes and prices, but the best are at 1-800-Flowers.com. Get 24 multicolored roses for only $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. All right, so we have a statement out by Malcolm Butler, right? He just put a statement out. All right, let's sort through this. What in the world is motivating Bill Belichick? That's straight ahead on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. All right, we're going to get back to the Malcolm Butler situation in just a minute, try to figure out what's going on there. What's motivating Bill Belichick? It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. But if you joined us at the top of the show, I said sports, I guess, is one of the only realms where math works in reverse. It's like in sports, everything is golf. Or everything is the card game Hearts. Great game, by the way. I guess the point is to have a lower number because sports is the only realm where having 8 Super Bowl appearances, but 3 of those being losses, is worse than 7 Super Bowl appearances and having only 2 of those be losses. So Tom Brady and Bill Belichick are punished for being 5-3. They would have been better off remaining and staying at 5-2. That's the debate I heard this morning as I was flipping through the dial. And it was a debate, by the way, we had a couple weeks ago when the New England Patriots played the Jacksonville Jaguars in the AFC Championship game. And Ben Volin, a columnist for the Boston Globe, went on WEEI, Kirk and Callahan show, and made this exact argument. Listen.
Being 5-2 would be better for Brady than being 5-3.
That is so dumb, Ben.
I'm just telling you. You're so dumb. I know how.
So you'd rather be 3-0 in Super Bowls than 3-5 in Super Bowls.
Well, now you're talking about a significant gap in appearances.
Well,
it's all relative. 8's better than 7.
3-0 is better than you than 3-2.
Maybe. I think there's a debate there. I think there's a debate there.
I said at the time, let's see if we can get Ben on the phone, and we have him. Ben Volin from the Boston Globe on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. What's up, Ben?
Well, thanks for having me. And here we are. We can have this debate now. Brady is 5-3 instead of 5-2, and people around Boston think I'm crazy, but I think for Brady's legacy, he probably would have been better off being 5-2, even though he had a phenomenal game the other day, of course.
Ben, I can tell you can take it. I can tell you can take disagreement straight to your face based upon what happens on WEI. But that's nuts, man. Come on. 8 Super Bowl appearances is better than 7. And the fact that 8th ends up on the loss side of the column doesn't take away from what those guys have accomplished. It doesn't take away from anyone's legacy. I mean, who has a better legacy, Jim Kelly or Warren Moon?
That's a good question. Probably Jim Kelly, but I mean, all throughout the 90s, didn't we used to make fun of the Bills because they always lost Super Bowls? Bill stands for boy, I love losing Super Bowls. I mean, you don't get too much credit for making this far. And we're talking about Tom Brady, whose legacy already was cemented as the greatest of all time with his 5 titles. And I still believe he's the greatest of all time. But I do think there's something to be said for having a sterling record in championship games. Whenever we talk about Joe Montana, we always talk about how he's 4-0 in Super Bowls. We don't talk about the other years where he didn't make it. Those years just kind of go by the wayside. And so Brady, with his already known as being the greatest, I don't think a loss in the Super Bowl enhances his legacy. And I think it sounds better to be 5-2 than to be 5-3.
I mean, I don't even know if I can agree that it sounds better. I think Jim Kelly, you talk about we made fun of the Bills. It's true, we did. But when you're comparing quarterbacks, losing 4 Super Bowls is better than never having made it. And I think that illustrates the point. Warren Moon was a great quarterback, but his 500 record in the Super Bowl at 0-0 is less impressive than Jim Kelly's at 0-4, the worst record in Super Bowl history. So even by getting there and losing, it elevates Kelly. And 8th appearance for Brady, I think it still elevates him. It's almost double anyone else's appearances.
Yeah, no question. Again, we're talking semantics here, and we're again, my argument is that Brady is already cemented as the greatest of all time. So whether he makes 7 or 8 or 9, what's the difference?
Okay, how about if he loses a bunch
made
more?
4 Super Bowls, but only in 11 years. Tom Brady's at 8 Super Bowls in 18 years, so he's kind of racking up a lot of these appearances because he's playing a really long time. And yeah, if you went 6-2, that would see. To me, the argument is also which is better, Brady at 6-2 or Michael Jordan at 6-0? 8 is obviously more than 6, but isn't it kind of good to be able to say you never lost in the championship round?
Well, that's the Jordan versus LeBron debate. What's better, 6-0 or 3-5? But I don't think that's exactly apples to apples because Jordan has more on the win side of the column, regardless of what LeBron has on the loss side. So if Brady goes sub 500, if he ever loses, 3 more Super Bowls, would you look at Montana's record and go, that's much more preferable? 5-6 versus 4-0. You'd rather have Montana's career?
No, I wouldn't, because they have outpaced. At that point, Brady's clearly outpaced Montana. To me right now, again, the comparable is, would you take the Patriots dynasty or the 49ers? The Patriots are 5-4 or 5-5 now in Super Bowls, whereas the Niners are 5-1. Obviously, the Niners wish they could have gotten to the Super Bowl more often, but their record, once they get there, is pretty darn good, while the Patriots suffer a lot of heartbreak, and their record's only 500 right now. So to me, that it's when you have the same number of titles, is it really better just to rack up some more losses? Or, I think there's an argument to be had that you're better off being perfect in championship games.
By the way, I think they're 5-3. You have to say that for this dynasty. Those other two. Super
Well, I'm adding the 96 and the 85 games as well.
Yeah, but that's not this dynasty. That's some other version of the Patriots. All right. Well, I've got you on the phone, man. What's the deal with Bill Belichick and Malcolm Butler? How do we sort through this? What motivated this decision?
It is still a giant mystery. We've seen little snippets start to pop out, but I'm not sure that we're really anywhere closer to the truth right now. Malcolm Butler just came out with a statement about 10 or 15 minutes ago denying that he ever missed curfew or that he was partying or at a concert or any of the things that have been out there. To me, either there was one major blow-up, which we haven't heard anything yet, or this is just an accumulation of a lot of episodes with Malcolm Butler this year, and it's clear that he and Bill Belichick were not on the best terms. Malcolm Butler was really upset that Stephon Gilmore got that big free agent contract last year, and the Patriots decided not to pay Malcolm Butler instead. He had a holdout, and he flirted with the Saints, and he came back for one more year. But Malcolm Butler was probably going to leave anyway. But this was a savage move by Belichick to hold him out for the entire Super Bowl. And Belichick better have a good reason, even if it's Butler was late for a meeting or late for curfew or caught with marijuana on the road is another rumor. I mean, even if that's true, to sit him out for the entire Super Bowl and to remove your second-best cornerback from the game, that's pretty drastic, and it affects everyone on the team. So,
and not one consistent with his record, right? He's not necessarily this harsh disciplinarian that says, if you run afoul of the law or run afoul of my rules, you won't play. So this has to be my last question, but and this might be oversimplifying it, but we've essentially got three different theories, right? Personal vindictiveness towards Malcolm Butler, simply a football decision, disciplinary reasons. Those three. Which is it in your estimation?
To me, it has to be disciplinary. And you could couch that a million different ways, but there's no way that you take a guy who is playing 98% of snaps for you and completely sit him out of the Super Bowl. I understand you want to diminish his role, or you don't want him to start, or you want to sit him out for the first quarter, but to sit him out for the entire game, it has to be disciplinary for one reason or another. And I think it hurt the Patriots. I mean, obviously they gave up 538 yards and 41 points, and I don't know if Butler single-handedly would have turned it around, but it's kind of the domino effect. When he's out of the game, you have Patrick Chung having to play slot receivers, which isn't his forte, and you have guys like Johnson Batamosi, who has no business playing cornerback in the Super Bowl, playing 11 snaps and giving up a key third down. And it's just the domino effect of not having Butler in there that I think really hurt the Patriots.
All right, Ben, I appreciate it. It's Ben Volin of the Boston Globe on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Thanks for your time. You're nuts on your Super Bowl canning, but appreciate it, Ben. He's already gone. He got out quick. Better to have tried and failed than to have never tried at all. Don't tell me those losses hurt. All right, Malcolm Butler did release a message about not playing the Super Bowl. I'm not buying it, but I'll share it with you next on the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
You are the reason why I changed the station. I started listening to classical music. Will Cain, you're garbage. Get out of here.
Don't agree with Will? Not sure how that could happen. Call 888-SAY-ESPN now.
Making new fans every day. Some people like garbage. Some people think diamonds are just coal. But not in San Antonio.
New affiliate alert. New affiliate alert.
The revolution grows. ESPN San Antonio, 1250 AM and 94.5 FM. Home of the hard line before us, and the blitz coming up just here in a bit after us, is a new affiliate for the Will Cain Show. So you can hate and you can call me garbage, but you have to go to bed at night and tell yourself that the revolution grows. It grows and grows. Call your affiliates. If you're listening on SiriusXM or you're listening on the podcast, I want you to do this. I want you to pick up that phone and I want you to tell them what they're missing out on. You call your local affiliate, your local ESPN radio station. You say, I want to be part of the revolution. I want the Will Cain Show. Why aren't you a home for the Willisha, like San Antonio, the great San Antonio, ESPN 1250 AM and 94.5 FM in the great state of Texas? Welcome to the Will Cain Show, San Antonio. Happy to have you. I want the whole state of Texas. That's where I want to start. I want every little town from El Paso to Orange. I want every little town from Amarillo to Corpus Christi. I take over Texas and then the country. That's how it goes. That's how the dominoes fall. Texas falls, the rest of the country falls. Everybody, part of the revolution. Thanks for coming in, San Antonio. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. What happened between Malcolm Butler and Bill Belichick? What explains this decision by Bill Belichick to play a guy 0 snaps in the Super Bowl, a guy who played 98% of the snaps during the regular season? Malcolm Butler has released a statement this afternoon, just about 20 minutes ago. This is what he said on Twitter. He said, I don't want to read this whole thing because it's actually really long, but the pertinent part of this is he thanks the Crafts, he thanks the New England Patriots, and he says, during my 4-year career with the Patriots, I have always given it everything I have to play at a high level and would never do anything to hurt my team's chances of winning the game, including this year's Super Bowl where I visited with my family every night. During Super Bowl week, I'd never attended any concert, never missed curfew, or participated in any of the ridiculous activities being reported. They are not only false, but hurtful to me and my family. Although I wish I could have contributed more to help my team win, I have to get ready for the next opportunity. Moving forward, I will do what I've always done, to work hard and prepare for the next season to be the best I can be on and off the field. He then goes on to apologize for any rough language he's used in his post-game comments about why he didn't play. What's up, Cerruti?
Apparently that post was liked by Tom Brady on Instagram and several other Patriots.
Really?
But the only one that matters is Tom Brady.
So listen, they're all on the same page. Belichick and Butler are saying the same thing. They're saying this was not for disciplinary reasons. They're saying this was done essentially for football reasons. Or actually, Butler's not saying that. That's what Belichick's saying. We have three. All right. As I just asked Ben Volin, columnist for the Boston Globe, you essentially have three theories here working. What happened? Number one, was it disciplinary? Number two, was it for football reasons? Meaning, were they really better without Malcolm Butler on the field? And number three, was it for personal vindictiveness? Now, as much as it pains me to admit this, Carlton, our caller from Tampa, I found persuasive. I found him persuasive. Now, I don't believe that football coaches, including Bill Belichick, adhere to some kind of hard and fast rules, that this is the standard of behavior we require in New England. And if you run afoul of our rules, if you miss curfew, if you get caught doing something you weren't supposed to do, well, by God, you don't play in the Super Bowl. I don't believe anybody has ever held a standard like that in professional football. And some of them have just been honest about it. Jimmy Johnson made it very clear when he was head coach of the Dallas Cowboys. Troy Aikman and the 53rd man on the roster live by different rules. I don't have the same standard for the star of my team and the guy barely on the roster. The rules that he can break are not the rules that you can break. So if Tom Brady missed curfew, if Tom Brady missed the team flight, Tom Brady would be playing in the Super Bowl. And as Carlton and Tampa pointed out, Chandler Jones did plenty to run afoul of not just the rules, but of the law in New England. And Bill Belichick played Chandler Jones. And as my friend Ryan Russillo said on his podcast last night, and as he said to us as well yesterday when we were hanging out after the show, he had a serial killer on the team. Now, he didn't know it. He didn't know who Aaron Hernandez was. But let's not pretend like New England's running a bunch of choir boys up there. They were just saying, we just follow the rules here in New England, and if you don't get to play. By the way, didn't Russillo and Scott Van Pelt speculate, Cerruti, last night on what would have been acknowledging that Belichick doesn't have this hard and fast rule? What disciplinary problem would have been enough to not play one of your best corners?
Yeah, and the question that they posed was, if Gronk slept with Belichick's wife, would Belichick still play him in the Super Bowl? And the answer was probably.
What about Giselle? If Gronk, you don't mess with Giselle.
I don't think so.
She runs the team. But it's a joke, but it illustrates the point. It's Carlton's point. What disciplinary violation would be enough to bench a guy who's good enough? And by the way, if it is disciplinary, wouldn't you just deactivate him? Okay, I can't play him because he broke the rules. Well, then deactivate him. Well, I'm not going to play him for football reasons. Then once you're torched, by halftime you make the adjustment and go, maybe I should put him maybe the whole football reason isn't adding up. Maybe I should play him now. So if my three reasons, two get knocked down. Discipline doesn't make sense because, well, if your rule is hard and fast, deactivate him. Your history suggests your rule's not hard and fast, so why would you do that for curfew violations and missing the team plane? What was enough? Was it for football reasons? Well, by the halftime, it was clear as you're getting lit up, your football reasons were flawed. You might want to play him. So if it's not football reasons, and if it's not disciplinary, what's left? And it's what Carlton said. I think commercial break Nuno, I think Stephen A said it as well. It's personal vindictiveness. It was all about Malcolm Butler and who he's been with Bill Belichick. I'm going to explain that just a little bit more straight ahead. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app.
Thank you for listening to the Will Cain Podcast.
You can listen to The Will Cain Show live weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. The Will Cain Podcast.
You've heard me talk about the amazing shave I get from my Dollar Shave Club razor, especially when I use it with their Dr. Carver's shave butter. Well, I'm here to tell you I'm never giving up my membership. In fact, I'm going to add even more DSC products to my daily routine. Dollar Shave Club makes perfect products for your hair, face, skin, shower, everything you need. They have me looking and feeling amazing. And it's all their own original stuff. They only use the finest premium ingredients and they deliver it to you, just like they do their razors. That means no more annoying trips to the store, cruising up and down the aisle, looking at shelf upon shelf of what the hell is that and what do I do with it? I use Dollar Shave Club for almost everything. Razors, body cleansers, hair gel, and yeah, even butt wipes. DSC has you covered head to toe. And now, it's a great time to give Dollar Shave Club a try. You can get your first month of their best razor, along with travel-size versions of shave butter, body cleanser, and yes, even butt wipes, for just $5. After that, replacement cartridges ship for just a few bucks a month. It's the DSC Starter Set. Get yours for just $5 exclusively at dollarshaveclub.com/will. That's dollarshaveclub.com/will.
This is the Will Cain Podcast on ESPN Radio.
Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. In the beginning, I thought it was about discipline because nothing else made sense. Why would Bill Belichick bench Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl? Why would he take a guy that started 98% of the defensive snaps during the regular season and give him 0 in the Super Bowl? It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Nothing else made sense. Nothing made sense but disciplinary. Okay, I'm going to give you 3 theories. These are the 3 theories about why Bill Belichick would bench Malcolm Butler in the Super Bowl. Number 1, it's disciplinary. He ran afoul of some law. When I say law, I mean rules within the New England Patriots organization. Curfew, I don't know. Don't go to a concert, whatever small rules the New England Patriots have put in place to make sure everybody's on the same page Super Bowl week. Disciplinary. He did something. That's one theory. Second theory, and this is the one that Bill Belichick would have you believe, it's just about football reasons. That one's such nonsense. Even when you have, I don't know, we don't have any sound today of that one. We had it yesterday. It's just that we had certain packages and certain situations. It just made sense. Get out of here. You didn't draw up some new packages for the Super Bowl that didn't include a guy you played 100% of the time during the regular season. I only hate it when coaches treat us like we're fools. Like, you know more than we do. It's not a competition. But we're not at 0 here. We're not morons. We're not on the floor of intelligence going, oh, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Drew up a whole new bunch of packages Super Bowl week. Didn't include Tom Brady. Yeah. No. All right, so football reasons, number 2. Number 3, vindictiveness. It was personal. It was about Malcolm Butler. Now, when I woke up this morning and when I reviewed this yesterday, I honestly thought it was disciplinary reasons because nothing else made sense. Let's dismiss the idea that it could be football reasons. You just don't go from 98% of the snaps to 0. You don't go from Malcolm Butler's our best cornerback all season to he's not good enough, not just to start, but to play. You just don't go that far that fast. So, football coaches have rules. They have cultures. They have institutions. This is what we do. This is what made us the New England Patriots. This is the debate I had this morning on First Take. And I have to say, Max Kellerman and Molly Karam made good points. You get to be the New England Patriots by adhering to your process. That's how you get to be a team that has made it to 8 Super Bowls. My friend Kate Fagan played basketball at University of Colorado. She tells me we had a culture of hard work. And I'll never forget the day, Kate said, that one of the girls on the team cut a corner. We were running. We were running around the gym, squares around the gym, and she cut. She cut around. She cut the run short. And she didn't get in trouble. And Kate was like, at that moment, I knew it was over. I knew it. Our culture is gone. Everything that we preach that has made us great is in a moment over. And why? Because if she can do it, I can do it. If she didn't have to run hard, why do I have to run hard? If she doesn't have to do everything, why do I have to do everything? And culture can go away like that quickly. So Malcolm Butler ran afoul of some culture, some discipline. That's what my theory was. But if you think about it, and by the way, the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio is presented by Progressive Insurance, with insurance for cars, home, boat, motorcycles, RVs, and commercial vehicles at 1-800-PROGRESSIVE and Progressive.com. If you think about it, this culture thing, man, there's coaches that are honest and there are coaches that are not. Jimmy Johnson was honest. The culture is not everybody has the same rules. Stars and barely on the roster guys don't have the same rules. Bill Belichick didn't treat Chandler Jones the same way he treated Malcolm Butler. He wouldn't treat Tom Brady the same way he treated Malcolm Butler. Tom Brady can miss curfew. He doesn't miss any snaps. Not everybody has the same rules, so why and what could Malcolm Butler have done to make it so he doesn't play in the Super Bowl? What's up, Cerruti?
I have two questions for you. One is I'm listening to you and I'm trying to follow along, but do you really think that?
Why, am I being confusing?
No. I just this is why I can't believe it. Do you really think that Belichick is that thick-headed and prideful that he would see that his game plan is clearly not working and he's probably going to need Malcolm Butler to win the Super Bowl and still says, nope, I'm willing to go down with this ship and this decision?
Well, that helps undercut those first two reasons. Football reasons and disciplinary. If it's disciplinary, deactivate him. Why is he active for the Super Bowl? If it's disciplinary, don't even make it a question. Put somebody else on the roster. Okay, so that undercuts the disciplinary. Boom. Second, if it's football reasons, this is the greatest football coach of all time. By halftime, it was clear your football reasons were flawed. You're getting lit up. The Eagles were scoring on almost every possession. Eric Rowe was getting torched by Alshon Jeffrey. I have it right here, by the way. Look at this. This is in the head of the sports section for Boston Globe. Eric Rowe, targeted 9 times, completed 6 passes for 79 yards and a touchdown. The other two guys that had to step up, Jordan Richards, 3 for 3. 3 attempts, 3 completions, 81 yards given up. And Johnson Batamosi, 1 for 17 yards. So everybody had to step up. Without Butler, these 3 guys got more playing time. And these 3 guys got lit up. And that was obvious at halftime. So Belichick doesn't make an adjustment at halftime. His football reasons don't kick in and go, you know what? Should have played Butler.
So that brings me to my second question. Do you think that he was punishing him, and this just came to in my mind, do you think that he was punishing him more because of the Wickersham piece and all the stuff that was going on about the culture and everything caving in and him losing his power because he wasn't allowed to keep Garoppolo and he was overruled? Do you think that maybe he was trying to get power hungry and was like, I'm going to put my foot down and show that this culture is still intact, and went extra hard on Malcolm Butler?
This is what I think happened. I don't think the Wickersham piece. Yeah, I don't think that did it.
I'm not too conspiracy theory guy. Okay.
This is pure speculation. This is what I think happened. And I think most of it lies in that third category, personal vindictiveness. I think Malcolm Butler did run afoul of something. He missed the plane flight. He said he was sick. Whether or not he missed curfew, whether or not he missed something small, he gave Belichick an excuse. He gave Belichick a reason to doubt him. There are some reports he didn't practice very well last week as well. So that gave Belichick reasons, not big reasons. Not good enough reasons. And then there are the reports that he blew up on the coaches, that Malcolm Butler, and we don't know, these aren't confirmed. Nuno, right? Commercial break, Nuno. Those aren't confirmed, but there are reports that he blew up on the coaches when confronted about these violations, right?
That is correct.
Okay, so he commits some minor violations. He blows up at the coaches. They already had a tense relationship going back a year over their contract, and at some point, Bill Belichick says, you know what? The difference between Malcolm Butler and Eric Rowe getting more snaps isn't enough for me to deal with this nonsense. And he became personal about this decision, and he didn't correct it. Malcolm Butler just put up a Twitter post where he essentially says, this was not for disciplinary reasons, and I resent the implications that I did some of these crazy theories this week about concerts and drugs and these kind of things. And what happened with that post, commercial break, Nuno?
Besides guys like Tom Brady and Jimmy Garoppolo and current teammates and former teammates liking it, Tom Brady actually...
All those guys? Garoppolo liked it too?
Yeah, Garoppolo liked it as well. So Tom Brady has now added a comment to it. He said, love you, Malcolm. You're an incredible player and teammate and friend always.
The plot thickens. We're going to have to deal with this Brady-Belichick thing pretty soon, aren't we? This is coming to a head. This is all coming to a head. This is too much. Anyway, that's what I think happened.
I want so badly for it to come out that there was a locker room argument between Brady and Belichick about whether or not Malcolm Butler should be playing in the second half.
Why wouldn't he play him in the second half? It makes no sense. No sense. You're getting lit up. Makes no sense. All right, Super Bowl ratings were down. Again, like everything else in the NFL. I'm going to tell you why. You're not going to like it, but it's going to be the truth, and I'm going to tell you why. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. What's up, everyone? Will Cain here. Support for the Will Cain podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, and your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/will. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states. NMLS, consumeraccess.org, number 3030.
This is Will Cain.
Look, one of two things is true. Either I'm a moron surrounded by geniuses.
Can't get enough Will Cain.
Or I'm a genius surrounded by morons.
Don't worry. More coming up.
All right, one more thing on this whole Malcolm Butler, Bill Belichick fiasco. Here's the thing. If we settle on the idea that it was personal vindictiveness, see, we've done aside with the disciplinary nonsense. We're done aside with the football reasons nonsense. What we've come to understand is, this impacted the game. Like this 41-33. This game was a play either way. There's no doubt the decision here was key to the outcome of the game. Last night on PTI, the guys Tony Kornheiser and Michael Wilbon talked about this.
I don't know the answer to whether it would have changed the game around. He's supposed to be a great tackler, so maybe you make a tackle and maybe you get the Eagles off the field on a third down or fourth down. I don't know that he could have deflected the Alshon Jeffrey catch, which was such a great catch. But one play can make a difference in that game. And I understand that. But like everybody else, you look at this and you go, why? Why did that happen? And we can sit here now and we don't know. We don't know. It better be good. I think a lot of people actually believe that it cost them the game.
Malcolm Butler is a free agent. He won't be with the Patriots next year, safe to say. And somebody's going to pay him a lot of money because they think he can play.
Yeah.
I'm not making the argument that if Malcolm Butler plays, the Patriots win that game. But what I'm telling you is Malcolm Butler had the ability to make one play, two plays in that game that could decide the outcome. Malcolm Butler not playing inhibits, hurts, lessens the Patriots' ability to win the game. There's no doubt about that. By the way, little father-son fight this morning on Golic and Golic, right? I mean, Golic and Wingo. That was what? That was not intentional. Golic and Wingo.
Excuse me.
But thank you, Bill. Always enjoy it when you're part of the show. Been missing you, by the way. Where is Bill Polian? Let's get him back in here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, both of you, if you want. I've got some questions for you, Belichick. Golic and Golic got into a fight this morning. Golic and Golic had a fight about whether or not this tipped the balance in the game, not just because of what Butler brings to the game, but his effect on the other players in the game. Listen to this.
Is that going to change the way you play?
Yes, at the beginning of that game. Why? Is that not going to change the way that we play at the beginning of that game?
Why is it going to change the way you play?
If I expect to go out there all of a sudden and say, all right, I've been practicing next to, whoever the starting center is, I've been practicing next to Jason Kelsey this entire time as a guard for the Eagles.
Do the calls change? Do the defensive formation
How are you going to act like this has no effect? How are you going to act like this has no effect? That's ridiculous. It's ridiculous to act like there's no effect to this. It's ridiculous.
On your five-man line, if someone got hurt and someone came in, you throw up your hands, oh, we can't play now.
I'd say, oh my God. All right, this is hurt. We adjust. If all of a sudden I'm going through my week of practice and I'm practicing next to Jason Kelsey, and then you give me no good reason, he is healthy standing over there on the sideline and he's not playing. You don't think that raises an eyebrow?
Yes, it raises an eyebrow.
It unnecessarily creates a situation in this team that makes them a lesser football team.
Yes, it raises an eyebrow. That reminds me of my teenage years, by the way. That was my household. That was me and my dad. Without a doubt. Dinner table.
What were you arguing about, though?
It did not matter. It does not matter. You want to know what one of the biggest knockdown dragouts I ever got into with my lawyer dad? Who makes the best hamburger in the world? And I argued, my teenage self, that it is quite obviously McDonald's because millions served. And he argued that's trash. He argued it's, big, fat, greasy onions, just homemade burger, like good old, Back in those days, they didn't have Five Guys and stuff like that. It's whatever. Your local diner burger.
Mom and pop shop.
Mom and pop. Like a real burger with a bunch of meat. And I was like, no. Look at all the burgers McDonald's sells. Objectively.
Give me that McDouble.
It's a better burger.
That might be the craziest take you've ever had.
Well, I don't believe it anymore, but I did then, and it sounded a lot like that. I was like, it's McDonald's. Are you telling me they've sold 1 million burgers? That doesn't raise an eyebrow? And he's like, it raises an eyebrow. But all right, the Will Cain Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. Tune in tonight for college basketball action as TCU battles Kansas. Coverage begins at 8:30 Eastern Time on ESPN Radio, ESPNRadio.com, and ESPN app. All right. NFL ratings are down. I mean, they're down across the board. The Super Bowl was down 9% from last year. I don't know if you guys have the numbers in front of you. It's one of the lowest rated Super Bowls, I believe, since 2009, or the lowest rated Super Bowl since 2009. And ratings altogether, by the way, are down. The number of people that say they followed the NFL closely, I believe, is down from 75% to something like 50%. And even among those who follow the NFL closely, going into the Super Bowl, 20% said they weren't going to watch the Super Bowl. So 20% of your biggest fans, that, by the way, that's from the Wall Street Journal and separately from Daniel Roberts over at Yahoo. 20% of your most hardcore fans say I'm not into it. All right. So there's a lot of reasons for why ratings are down. I'm going to give you 4. All right. And you're not going to like some of them. Number 1, and the reason most people talk about, cord cutting and optionality. People have more choices to watch more entertainment all day long. If you don't like the NFL game on in your market, you can watch the 4th season of Peaky Blinders. You can get on Manhunt and see how the FBI busted Ted Kaczynski. If you're into English stuff, you can stick with The Crown. You have Netflix, Amazon Prime, Hulu, any numerous options instead of watching the game the NFL is providing you that week. That's 1. 2, politics. Okay, look, I'm not going to say left, right, Democrat, Republican. All I'm going to tell you is this. People want their sports free from politics. And whether or not the left is mad or the right is mad, no matter who's mad, one thing we can all agree on, most of us, is we'd like our entertainment free of politics. Okay? It's the toy aisle. We don't go to the toy aisle to find Depends. We don't go to the toy aisle to find Metamucil. This is where we go to get our entertainment and fun. We don't want politics. Number 3, and this is a point of disagreement I had with the folks on First Take today. Some say concussions and violence are turning people off from the NFL. Nonsense. You know what's turning them off? Not enough of that, to be honest. People go to the NFL because they like violence. They want cathartic places to go see people hit each other. And there's a sentiment out there that the NFL's gotten soft. And you know who sees it? Vince McMahon. That's why he's one of the reasons he's starting the XFL. That's one of the reasons he sees an opening. But there's one main reason that ratings are down. And I'm going to tell you what that one main reason is straight ahead. You're not going to like it, but it's going to be the truth. The Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. It appears I've established a brand for myself. It's the Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. The Will Cain Show is reminding you that you can watch all 3 hours of the show on ESPN News. All right, I told you, NFL ratings are down 9% this year for the Super Bowl. It's the lowest rated Super Bowl since 2009. Ratings all season long were down across the board. And that's left everyone wondering why. What's up with the NFL? Why is this not working out? I told you I have 4 reasons for the NFL ratings to explain why they're down. First of all, I said more entertainment options, number 1. Cord cutting and more entertainment options. You can stream, you cut your cable, you're not paying for that. You start streaming content from Amazon to Netflix to Hulu. You've got too many options to watch instead of a game you're not all in on. That's 1. 2, there are people out there that believe the NFL's just gotten too soft. That, I don't want to hear that concussions are turning people off. I think it's the opposite. I think people watch football because they want some release of violence. They want it, and they feel like the game's being made soft. And I think Vince McMahon thinks the same thing. That's why he's creating the XFL. That's 2. And politics, 3. And I'm not taking sides here. I'm just telling you. People want their sports free from politics. It's not hard, okay? It's not hard. You want your candy. You don't want, chia seeds or whatever the latest health craze is, some some green powder with some vitamins in it sprinkled all over your popcorn at the movie theater, whatever. You don't want that. That's a different aisle. That's a different time of day. I don't want politics in my sports. I don't want Metamucil in my candy. All right? I want this is for entertainment. And I said I have one more reason. It's the main one, and you're not going to like it. And what happens, Rudy? Somebody tweet the show.
Yeah, DP tweeted at you in the show, if you say anthem protest with the Liam Neeson taken, I will find you gif. We're going to hook that guy up. We'll get him some stuff for 100 Flowers.
That's good. Get him a gift card. That's right. It appears that my brand might have been somewhat crystallized or solidified or calcified. No, that's not my number one reason, DP. Okay? It's not. But you can tweet the show through the 100flowers.com Twitter feed at Will Cain Show. Valentine's bouquets come in all shapes and prices, but the best are at 1-800-Flowers.com. Get 24 multicolored roses for only $29.99 or upgrade to 24 red roses for only $10 more. To order, go to 1-800-Flowers.com/ESPN. Here's the number one reason people are not paying attention to the NFL. Here's the number one reason ratings are down. And you're not going to like it, or at least 90% of you aren't going to like it. The reason that the ratings are down is this. 2 words. Dallas Cowboys. That's the truth. You don't want to hear it. You don't like it. But the Dallas Cowboys rate. And I'm being a little bit in your face about being just Dallas Cowboys, but it's mostly Dallas Cowboys. The bottom line is the biggest NFL brands, the biggest NFL franchises are missing from the playoffs and the big games. Not all of them, but most of them. No Cowboys, no Packers, no Broncos, no Seahawks. I have a list of the most popular teams in the NFL as measured according to website traffic to their team pages. The only ones in the top 15 to be represented are teams like the Pats and the Steelers, yes, and the Eagles. They're there as well. But the biggest, number 1 and number 2, not there. Number 1, Cowboys. Number 2, Packers. And honestly, if we're being honest, it's Cowboys with a bullet. So maybe I'm not being hyperbolic. It's the Let me explain something to you, okay? 3 of the top 5 rated games this year feature the Dallas Cowboys. Last year, 4 of the top 5 rated games feature the Dallas Cowboys. Every year, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Green Bay Packers is one of the biggest games of the year. Last year's playoff game between the Cowboys and Packers, highest rated divisional game in 20 years. So don't tell me NFL ratings are down when that's happening. I got one even better for you. In 2014, 4 of the 5 highest, no, it's 3. It's 2015. Let me just, small correction. 2015, 3 of the 5 highest rated games, Dallas Cowboys. You know what the Cowboys' record was that year? 4-12. They're 4-12, and America can't get enough of them. In television, stars sell. You want a hit TV show? Have a star in it. The NBA, stars sell. In the NBA, the star is LeBron James. The star is Kevin Durant. The star is Steph Curry. That's what gets ratings. In the NFL, the star, well, is the star. The star is the logo. It's the brand. It's the jersey. It's the franchise. It's not the player. Yeah, Cam Newton can drive a little bit of traffic, but not the same way the G on the Green Bay Packers helmet can. It's those long-time, history-rich franchises that have established brands with casual consumers. I don't care about your tweet that tells me, shut up, Will, I don't like the Cowboys. No, first of all, you hate watch them. Number 2, I don't care what you say. Here's the data. In football, the star are those franchises, and you need your stars on the field. It'd be like having the NBA Finals and the NBA playoffs without LeBron James. That's what the Dallas Cowboys are to the NFL. They are LeBron James to the NFL. How do you think that would rate? The NBA playoffs without LeBron. We'd be talking about what's wrong with the NBA today. We'd be talking about cord cutting. We'd be talking about politics. We'd be talking about all the different contributing factors. But the main one would be no LeBron James. The main one for the NFL, you're missing your stars. And the stars are the Cowboys, Packers, yes, the Steelers, yes, the Patriots, the Giants, the Bears, the Redskins, the Eagles. Those are your top ones. That's the ones that rate. And that's the truth, whether or not you like it or not. Hey, do we have this already? Some of the world champion Philadelphia Eagles went on Jimmy Kimmel last night. We have that. Jay Ajayi and Chris Clement went on Jimmy Kimmel last night, and Jimmy told them, well, he played a trick on them. He told them that they no longer had one of their star quarterbacks. Now, this is on TV as well. You'll see on ESPN News. We'll see how this plays on radio. I'm going to tell you what happens if you don't. This is Jay Ajayi and Chris Clement on Jimmy Kimmel. Listen.
I was a little hurt because I had just got traded, so I was just enjoying the play with him. So I was like, man, I just lost my buddy, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, hey, we had Niner, and he came in, stepped right in, and we got it done. So
yes, you did get it done. Now, did you hear that Foles was traded about an hour ago? I made that up.
They're hook, line, and sinker on it. He got him. Nick Foles traded an hour ago. Jay Ajayi's accent, it's a trip, man. It throws you. We got that done. I can't even do it. What is he? We looked it up. He grew up in England, right?
Yeah, but I guess he's Nigerian as well.
His parents are Nigerian. He grew up in England. How did he find it? And he ends up at Boise State.
Boise, yep.
I want to know the Jay Ajayi story. Let's get Jay Ajayi on the show. Where did he learn football? Like in the parks in London? What's up, Nuno?
He's also an Arsenal fan, so.
His accent's a trip. All right. Carson Wentz got a ring. But did he really? We got some around here. The standards are tough. I got one guy around here who's telling me Peyton Manning doesn't even get his Broncos ring. It's Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Okay, this has been a fun show today. Awesome show. You should go get it on the Listen tab of the ESPN app or at iTunes. Go download it, rate, and review it. The Will Cain Show is presented by Progressive Insurance. I have so many things I still want to talk to you about. I mean, how do you talk for 2 hours and 45 minutes and say, there's not enough, it's not enough time? I don't know. But so many things to clear up here with you. Okay, first, do we have Gronk's call? So apparently, while Rob Gronkowski was away in Minneapolis for the Super Bowl, his house was robbed. Listen to this, his call to 911.
911 line decoded. Where is your emergency?
Hello, this is an emergency. This is Rob Gronkowski calling, and while I was gone, my whole house got robbed while on the Super Bowl trip, and I just got back.
They say, like, one of the most common times to have your house robbed is, for example, I think I've heard two, during a funeral. So there's guys that know everybody's not in the house because they're all at the funeral and at the gravesite. So empty house, ton of material items, great time to steal stuff. And I think, am I right? It's like around Christmas or Christmas Day. Everybody leaves and goes and does something Christmas afternoon. And so there's a house full of stuff and nobody there. It's one of the main times. I'm not as sure as that one. I'm sure on the funeral thing. And everybody in the world knows Gronk's not home. What'd they get?
Gronk in the Super Bowl is third in that list.
Funerals, Christmas, and Super Bowl.
1 year away for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, right. What'd they get? Do we know what they took from Gronk yet?
No.
I'll have to figure that out. Keep updating the show on that. So, Carson Wentz. We started the show with this today. We had it earlier. He has a ring, but does he really have a ring? I mean, when we look back on this, if Carson Wentz doesn't win a single Super Bowl, not another one, the Philadelphia Eagles with Carson Wentz as quarterback don't win another Super Bowl. Are we really going to say Super Bowl champion Carson Wentz? If Carson Wentz 5 years from now is in a debate with Dak Prescott about who's the quarterback in the NFL, and Dak has won one with the Dallas Cowboys, are we really going to go, well, they are tied. They both have a Super Bowl. I mean, I get it. Carson Wentz gets a ring. And I get it. He contributed to this. He contributed to this, significantly. I mean, I appreciate the saying. The reason it's like inventors say this, and this is in Nick Foles' voice. If I can see further than others, it's only because I'm standing on the shoulders of giants. Well, the giants are Carson Wentz, the one that put him in a position to win. I get it. I get all that. 100 people invented the light bulb, not Thomas Edison. Everyone contributed to this success. I'm just saying, does he really have a Super Bowl ring? Does Steve Young have 3 or does Steve Young have 1? Nuno, what's commercial break? Nuno, what's the update? We said Lynn Dawson has a Super Bowl win, right? As quarterback of the Kansas City Chiefs.
Correct. But he started 7 games that year. Mike Livingston started 6, and Jackie Lee started 1 for them.
Mike Livingston started 6?
Yeah, he was actually voted as a Pro Bowler, too.
Whoa!
So him and Len Dawson were Pro Bowlers that year.
Direct parallel. No one goes around talking about Mike Livingston, Super Bowl champion. You think of Mike Livingston's at the bar, he goes, hey, what's that on your hand? Oh, it's a Super Bowl ring. Really? What would you? Quarterback. Really? You won the quarter? Yeah. I didn't play that game, but yeah. I started 6th that year. No one says Mike Livingston. That's Carson Wentz. Mike Livingston goes to the Pro Bowl. Damien Woody, you can get it in the first hour of our show, said Carson Wentz was an MVP candidate. Yeah, but he didn't play in the playoffs. Here's a tweet right now from the NFL. Nick Foles is the newest member of the Quarterback Lombardi Club, and it's got a picture of a cartoon of all the quarterbacks who've won the Lombardi. Not a picture of Carson Wentz in there. I mean, it sucks, but it's true.
Yes, it's not fair. I mean, they probably were the best team in the league when Wentz was in there, but we just don't know. He could have had a stinker in one of the playoff games, and they could have been out.
Exactly.
You can't give him credit for it.
You cannot give him credit.
He didn't complete it. You have to. It's not about how you started. Well, it's about how you finish. And Nick Foles finished.
I'm sorry. I like Carson. I do.
It's gonna be great if he never wins another one. Technically, he will be zero.
Yes.
You can't give him credit for 1.
And if he wins 4, I'm not going to give him a 5th to tie Tom Brady. You know, if he ends up at 4, we're not going to say, well, he got the same number of rings as Tom Brady. And maybe that's personal with me because I like Tom Brady so much and everybody's pointed it out. But come on, right? I'm not alone on this one, am I?
Is this your way to always defend Dak, though? Is like, that's your ulterior motive is like, I have to defend Dak. And if people start saying Wentz deserve a Super Bowl, like, or he's a Super Bowl winning quarterback, like, your defense goes out the window, right?
You know, for a guy that really relies on reason and common sense, you know, and logic, my motivations are questioned way too often. It's always like I'm doing something for other reasons than just reason and logic.
But it's always through the Cowboys
Dak.
prism. It's always through the Dallas prism.
I just used Dak as an analogy. I shouldn't do it.
It was more than an analogy. It was a wishful thinking type deal that, like, hey, if Dak gets 1, he'll have 1 more than Wentz.
I am an easy judge. Here, Ty over here is hanging out, shadowing the show. He's with ESPN New York. He's a tougher standard than I am. Push that microphone over to Ty. Ty, you told me somebody else doesn't even get a ring. He can't hear what you're saying. Tell him. Who did you say can't get a ring?
Who did I say?
You know who you said, Ty. Speak up.
I didn't say Carson Wentz couldn't get a ring.
You said you don't even count Peyton Manning's ring.
Oh, no. I said which one is worse. That's what I said. Like, what would you rather do? What Carson Wentz did or what Peyton Manning did?
Peyton Manning started the Super Bowl. Won the Super Bowl.
You could use 31 other quarterbacks in the NFL and they win that Super Bowl.
Oh, my gosh. He's talking about his Broncos championship. And you guys think I'm being mean. He took it from Peyton Manning. Took his second Super Bowl, just like that, under the idea that 31 other quarterbacks could win it. So no, Nuno, no, Cerruti. My motivation should not be questioned. It's just reason and logic. Commercial break, Nuno. Let's do an update real quick on our McDonald's debate as well. It turns out that McDonald's fries are more than just tasty.
So apparently a Japanese stem cell research company found out that one of the ingredients that in the fry oil could actually be used to grow hairs.
To grow what?
Grow hair, so you won't go bald.
The cure to balding is McDonald's fries?
That's what this allegedly this Japanese stem cell research team found.
First of all, I've been wondering about this for years. How is it we can cure some of the world's most horrendous diseases, and capitalism largely drives medical cures? The market for curing balding is out of sight. You're an instant billionaire. And we can't cure balding? We got guys running around out there with rugs on top of their heads and sewing it from the back to the front because we want it so bad to be fixed, and we can't cure balding? And all this time, it's been McDonald's fries?
It's enough!
I'll catch up with you guys tomorrow. I'm just going to be down at McDonald's eating fries. Till then, enjoy Spain and Fitz while I scarf down some McDonald's fries. It's Will Cain Show on ESPN Radio.
Thank you for listening to the Will Cain Podcast. You can listen to the Will Cain Show live weekdays at 3 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on the ESPN app. The Will Cain Podcast.